Alright, so I just set up my hollow chisel mortiser, and I got this here, and I just did a test, and there's a fit. I gotta shut this music off. Although this song's apropos from last night's video. I hope I don't get busted for that on YouTube, you know. Sometimes I've got to, like, remove the sound if there's, like, a recognizable tune. That was Tom Waits' Better Off Without a Wife. And I just did that video last night, which is pretty crazy that just came on. But anyhow, again, in case YouTube shuts that off, I just finished setting up my hollow chisel mortiser, and I did a test piece here, and it scared me at first because I was a little off on that. Doesn't matter because I could reset it. However, that's going to fit, right? So that's my breadboard edge. That's how that works. And on this one here, I got real lucky there too. Where that's we're in a shadow, but that's a nice cut. Now on this side, I'm gonna have to do something because you'll see here there's a slight gap there, and right here I'm tight here at the bottom, but there's a slight gap there, and that's because if you look closely, I don't know if the camera's gonna register it. It might not. It does look like I'm good here, but then there's a fat spot right here, so I'm gonna have to flip this over and work this because I might have to put my straight edge. You see that? That's weird. It shouldn't be doing that, and I can see there's a pencil line right here still, so I might have to flip this top over and put my Festool straight edge on there and just take that off again with the saw. I want it tight up here because this is the top. If there's a slight gap under here, it won't bother me because, again, you know, that's the bottom. So these are my two breadboard edges. I've already cut them. They're already set up. They're the same thickness as the table. This is a cut off from one of those pieces. That's why I did the test on it. I'm going to finish off running a slot through this. And you know what? I'll show that to you right now. Hang on. All right, so I'm just going to finish this whole slot here, this machine, and then I'm going to go eat. But I got here a little late this morning. I didn't get to bed till kind of late last night, so I overslept by about an hour this morning. But I'm going to go ahead and, like I said, finish this slot, show you what it looks like there, and then when I come back from lunch, I'm going to do these, put the slot mortise in the two breadboard edges and kind of fit them. When I do that, I'll shoot more video, and I'll shoot this more close up so you can kind of see what this looks like. I don't really need hearing protection for this because it's not super loud, but it's just being precautious because of my tinnitus. Alright, so that's interesting. I'm dead center now. I guess, you know, it's been a while since I've used it. I forget sometimes. When this goes in, it pulls one way. When you do the second pass, which I always do a second pass, you saw what I did back and forth. That's because it cleans out the sides of that slot mortise better doing that. And when it did that on the second pass, it comes down straighter, so you can still see there's barely any line there. Now you just have to clean out the bottom of that mortise. And I'm going to show you a tool that I have here. Let's see if it's the right thickness. So I'm doing a 1/2 inch. I hope this is a 1/2 inch. As I destroy the shop here. Yeah, I think this might fit. This is a really cool tool. Oh, yeah, it gets in there. This is a swan neck or crank neck chisel, and I'll show you guys how to use that later this afternoon. It's kind of a rare tool to find, and if you do large mortises, you want one of these. You definitely want one of these, and I'll explain it to you later. I don't use it a lot, but when I use it, it's because I really need it. So I got to clean out the bottom of this here to get it to fit over. Let me do that real quick. No point in you watching all that. All right, so I have to clean the shoulder up on the bottom side here, but that's kind of what we're dealing with here. And yeah, crap. I'm running into the same thing I ran into when I did this on the other table. I mean, this is a pretty good fit, but this tenon, at least this one, is slightly undersized. So what's happening is that these two pieces are tipping in on me, here and here, which I know how to fix it because I just went through this on the last table, but that's a little bit of a hassle because now it's short that way. But before I just finished that full cut through there, it was perfect. So I have to make a decision now about what I want to do. And I think maybe what I'll do is I'll cut this. And instead of doing a long slot mortise, I'll do a series of mortises. I don't know if you can see this on camera. Yeah, you can see it. So I'll do just a series of mortises here. I'll do one from here to here. I'll do one from here to here. I'll do one from here to here. And that will keep these from pitching in because they'll be supported on the outside ends. And then I'll just correspond that down here, and I'll leave, you know, I'll cut, you understand what's going to, there'll be a tenon here, there'll be a tenon here, there'll be a tenon here, and it'll slide right over, and then that won't be a problem. So that's why you do this, all right? Just so you understand. This is why you want to do test pieces, all right? Pretty simple, self-explanatory. So that's what's going to happen this afternoon. I'm going to go home and eat. I'm going to get these mortises cut. It won't be a long slot mortise like I kept saying. It'll be 3 large mortises on each one of these, and then we'll get these fitted. We're going to get these fitted today, and hopefully even put the I'm still asleep, man. Hopefully put the pegs in today as well. I think we'll be able to do that. Stick around. That noise will be like when a piece of wood gets caught between that bit that's spinning and inside this. You can hear how quiet this is. so you can see why I purchased this machine. I've had this machine probably at least 20 years. It just makes quick work. If you're doing a lot of mortise and tenons, it's worth investing in one of these. They make smaller ones, but this is the one to have, or at least one like it. Anyhow, you get the picture. I'll go all the way to this line, and then I'll work backwards to clean that up, and then I'll do the other two, and then I'll show you that. All right. Swan neck or crank neck chisel. And what this, you already see it, right? The idea is you take this in here, you could tap it down. You want to get it right at the bottom of this. You want to push down and you want to crank. It's the side of that mortise. What that does is it cleans out the bottom of that mortise. When that bit over here on the hollow chisel mortiser goes through the end of here, it's not a clean bottom. Remember, people, you always have to clean your bottoms. Again, that's why I own a bidet. And this won't get this whole, most mortises are not this wide, so I'll have to get in there and try another technique to get the rest of it. And then I'll come across here with a 1/2-inch chisel. Maybe a 3/8 will work better. And I'll kind of tap that along and I'll scrape the bottom of this mortise. And I got to do that all 3 of these. But I can try to fit it, and I'll show you that in a moment. Keeping in mind, I'm going to have to flip this table and trim that long edge up to the tenon so that it'll get a tighter fit. But I'll show you that in a minute. Well, it'll be a second for you. All right, let's see what this sucker will. I can tell you right now that this upper surface here, right, this shoulder, is back a little bit more than the bottom. Pretty even here, but then as it goes down, it protrudes a little bit more. So like I said, I've got to clamp the Festool straight edge on this bottom side and trim that up a bit. Yeah, you can see it. Oh, this piece is, I'm like a 1/16 of an inch short on this one piece for some reason. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. That's pretty snug right here, and you can see the gap growing here. And I didn't have to flatten this out. This is pretty straight right here. This one piece in particular had just a slight undercut. I know I kept talking about putting these on to take this bend out. I've already taken out a lot of this bend, this up here. Knowing that I might not get it 100%, but it doesn't matter. The point I wanted to make here is I didn't have to flatten this one out. I definitely got weight on this end. The other side, I think, cups a little bit more than this side. But anyhow, it looks good. But yes, on the bottom, I'm super tight. And up here, I've got a little bit of a gap. So I'll show that to you. See that little gap there? Now, a lot of people might not even worry about that. It looks huge on screen, but really, it's not that large. And then you can see underneath here, no gap at all. So, yeah. Just giving you guys a look-see at this. Anyhow, I got to get the other side fit. Make sure I'm real clean on this top, all the work on the top here. And then that's interesting. So even though I left those solid spots where the mortise is, it just indents a hair. I'm not going to worry about that. I'll sand and scrape it all. I'll get it, you know, pretty smooth. Again, I'm taking this to a point where I don't need to, because part of the whole design on this piece is it's supposed to be rustic. It's not supposed to be that perfect. I just can't help myself. When I'm doing joinery, I'm trying to make it as close as I can. I could probably leave this the way it is, hammer it home a little bit, put the pegs in and be golden, but I want to get the top tighter. And let me work on the other one, and then I'll just keep progressing. I'll keep showing you some shorter video clips like I've been doing. But it's now you know. Now you know what a breadboard edge is going to look like on here. It's going to look like $1,000,000. So it's 6 feet 2 inches long now, which is exactly what I wanted. Breadboard edges are just, you know, fit on there for now. They're not fully tuned and they're not pegged yet. But figured I'd show it to you. I'm going to turn this music off. So, yeah, I was up after midnight last night. I did not get enough sleep. I got up this morning. I wasn't even sure I was going to come into work because I don't want to make any mistakes. So at this point, I don't know. I'm going to fiddle around with this a little bit more, but I'm not going to stick around too much longer. I'm just tired. But I'm happy because I got this part to the point now. Now it's just final tuning. It's about an hour or two, couple hours maybe, fine tuning that and gluing them on for good. And it's really cool too because just putting it on took out a lot of that. I mean, it's straight. I didn't even have to clamp it down. I just put it on there and it took the rock out. All right, this was doing this thing in the center, and just putting it on helped. And I'm a little proud in a couple spots, but I'm not worried about that. I'll massage that with a scraper and make it all nice. And when I say nice, what I mean is I gotta mess it up on purpose. So I've got a lot of leeway. That relieves a lot of stress off me. I might do something else, so I won't end the video yet. Hang on, it's not over. Okay, so it's the next day. I was pretty beat up yesterday. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to pop these breadboard edges off. This one here is fitting pretty tight across the top. Perfectly acceptable. I've got a little gap here because when I was trimming with the chisel, but that's fine. I'm not even going to worry about that at all. I keep, trying to remind myself I'm supposed to be making this thing more rustic. But on the other side, I'll show you what's going on with that. But I got to flip this thing over first. Now let's pull this off. Dash. We'll spin this sucker around. I think what I might want to do is show you this right quick. I think you saw it already in the video, but take you off the tripod momentarily here. It's doing this right now, but that doesn't matter because when I clamp it'll be fine. But I'm relatively tight here, but then you can see the gap opens here. And if you look here, I'm a little tighter at the bottom than I am at the top. And I'll show you what that looks like with the square on it in a moment. But basically I have to clean out the shoulder. And then what I believe is that this straight cut line here is that way, just 2 millimeters maybe. So I want to remove that material from the underside, which means I have to flip this top over. So I'm going to clean that out right now. I can't tell you how many times I've flipped this top over now, and it is massive. With these on right now, it's at 6 feet 2 1/8 of an inch. I did that on purpose. I have 1/8 of an inch to play with. I want to try to keep it around that length. I probably don't need to take anything off the width of it. If I could set you up with the camera here so you can see what's going on. Try to get the camera nice and low here and zoom in for you if it's possible. Talking super, you can see that on camera. You should see at the tall portion, it kind of S's in a little, and at the bottom, it doesn't. Yeah, you can see that clear as day, right? So at the top half here, we've got a little bit of a gap. I mean, it might only be a millimeter and a half, and it, you know, obviously we're flush here. So as I was saying, I got to flip this over. I got to adjust that straight edge in just a millimeter or so, re-rip that, clean everything out, put the part back on after I flip this over again. You know, we're getting a hell of a workout on this project here. So let's go ahead and flip it. Flip it good. Is YouTube gonna flag me for that? Speaking YouTube with the music issues, I would be playing, and I used to back in the day. I had some good music going here for you guys. It'd be more entertaining, but they just won't let me do it. One little block here. Oh boy, I'll do that. Heavy. Like your mom. I said that in a video the other day. One guy caught it. Or at least one person said anything about it. Alright. There's not enough mom jokes in the world. Let's just be honest, alright? It's a press. And by the way, those breadboard edges absolutely take a lot of that little dish out, but it's not perfect. Again, doesn't need to be. And keep in mind too, right now it's sitting up on the surface. Once I get the base done, if we're really nervous about it, I could put set screws on the ends of the top of the trestle on both sides, and that'll help flatten things out a little bit. But I'm actually very pleased with the way this is working out so far. Except for this part of it. I recently upped my weight on my curl bar at home just to keep. I always kept it on 100 pounds when I was a kid. And I recently pulled that out. Well, recently, like several months ago, and I just kept 90 pounds on it, and I was getting up, you know, 3-4 days a week, picking that thing up, doing like 4 sets of 10, just to try to get some muscle back on my body a little bit. I normally work out with bands and other stuff, and then I said, you know, screw it. I'm going to put, if I'm doing 4 sets of 10, there could be 100 pounds on that bar. So it's interesting, because I'll knock out a couple sets of 10 now, but if I do sets of 8, I can get more. And that's just, I'll just keep that on there. I'm just a believer you should always work out with at least 100 pounds. And I don't really lift weights anymore. But when I used to throw weight around, I used to bench press, my philosophy was you should work out with your weight at bare minimum. And I mean like on an incline. I was at the point where I was working out with 225, 250-ish on my last set on incline. And that's a lot of weight to be thrown around on incline bench. But anyhow, I don't do that anymore because I'm old. I don't want to injure myself. That's where we're at here, and I'm going to go ahead and get to work on this top here. And I will show you more as we progress. There's going to be a bunch of short clips I stitched together as usual. I hope you enjoy it. All right, just hit me. You might want to watch this process. There's not much to it. I'm eyeballing it. I want you to understand something. I'm eyeballing it. Did I say I'm eyeballing it yet? I'm eyeballing this. I'm not going to measure anything. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. Because for 37 years, no. Somebody made a funny comment about that. You need that on a t-shirt. I know I'm right because I've been doing this for 37 years. You learn to use the force as you get older. You know? But it's, again, this is a rustic table. It doesn't matter as much. But I do this on fine stuff too. And what I wanted to get at is the most important thing is that the top is tight. If there's a slight gap on this bottom, it doesn't matter. Nobody's going to see it unless you're under the table. I don't know. Patricia's a little freaky. She might find herself under the table at some point. I don't know. So we want to clamp this down, you know, relatively precisely, even though we are just eyeballing it. So we're going to do first here. Part of, you know, well, I don't know. We'll see. It's definitely off here too. Yeah, absolutely off there. Tighter here. Pretty flush here, but slightly off. So we'll come in a hair here. Now, the other issue here is that I've replaced, so on these straight edges, there's this clear double stick thing, and this is replaceable. And the way your plunge saw works is that this comes wider than this, and you peel off the old one, you clean it all out, use acetone and everything else you need to use. You put it down, you peel the paper off the new one, you put the new one on, and then you place it down and you plunge your saw and you cut, and now that piece of plastic is sized exactly to this blade. Now this was done with my Festool saw, so I'm not really sure if that's cutting exactly close to this, so I'm kind of eyeballing everything right now to a certain extent. I need to buy new ones, but I will also say that these replacement ones don't typically last as long or stay attached to the rail system as well. And I'm telling you, I know what I'm doing because I've been doing it for 37. So I didn't take any shortcuts. It wasn't dirty, right? I really cleaned the crap out of it. I tried it by putting it in the sun and heating it up and not doing that, because this is about the 4th replacement I've had on here already. Now that I'm using the Makita more on this, I still have my Festool, the big one too, the 75. So what's going to happen now is I'm probably going to have to buy more of these replacements and put them on all my straight edges and cut them to the Makita. But for now, what are we doing? You know, what are we doing? I said it 14 friggin' times already. We're eyeballing it. Let's see how close we can get by eyeballing it. Some people do not use these clamps. I prefer to use the clamps because I know for sure that this thing isn't going to slide around on me. Now, when I'm cutting plywood, I don't always use it, but when I'm trying to do some sort of joinery, I can't take the chance of it not working. I'm tempted to take more than I think I need, but I'm going to try to eyeball it so that it's more precise. We're about to find out. Let's see what happens. There's not too much to worry about. If I take too much off, I'm golden because I'll be tight at the top. If I don't take enough, I just got to do another pass. The key on this is to remember, don't cut these off. So you got to set your depth, which I haven't touched, so it should be fine. And it is. So let's go ahead. Now, typically with my fest tool, I'll plug that in, and then I hook up the dust collection, which works great. I've got the dust extractor, the fest tool unit, and this doesn't have a trigger actuated mechanism to make that turn on. Makita makes a cordless. I have one that I have used with this. You have to turn it on separately. Maybe I'll do that right quick. Don't go anywhere. Alright, I'm only doing this to show you it can be done this way. They make another vacuum / dust extractor that's larger. It might even be on wheels. And there's like a Bluetooth connection between this saw and that machine that you can hook up somehow. And when you turn this on, the vacuum comes on. I think that unit's like $600. I would like to own it. But I just can't spend that kind of money on this right now. You know, it's a poor craftsman that blames his tools. You know what I'm saying? And I got some pretty nice stuff here. I got no excuses for not doing decent work. And I don't need any of it, really. Because I've been doing it for 37... Now, I've been using this on another saw, and that's why I put this tape on here. This does not work properly, but we'll see if we can make it work for this. It's probably not going to work. Let's see. When you turn the vacuum on, the suction tends to want to hold in place too. And this hose is not the best. You know, Makita, not the best. And it's very short, so... Definitely took it in a little bit more, I don't know. So there's a section here, a remnant of this tenon, which wasn't flush anyhow. So let's see what happens. I got to trim this up with chisels right now, and then I'll attempt to fit the piece, and I'll show you that. There's no point in you watching me trim this with chisels, because it would be painful for you to sit here and watch that whole process. Let's at least test it with... You guys might have saw that, and it happened before, and I don't understand why it's happening. I do have a longer one of these. I keep mentioning it. It's underneath the platform in the van, and I don't feel like going through the rigmarole of trying to get that out of there because it's going to be a friggin' hassle. But I probably should have, because for some reason, when this saw comes down this track, at the end of the track, oh, I get it. I know what's happening. Okay. So there are these adjustments that help you to tighten the saw. Now I understand what's going on. Yeah, you want the longer track, and I'm going to tell you why right now. So it's kind of good that you guys are here watching this. There are these adjustments on the saw here that when it comes to the actual, the way it runs on the rail, this is the rail system here. So underneath here, there's this here, and then there's these little blue things here. They're controlled right here with these wheels, and that's there so that you can adjust the saw. This back one needs to be adjusted. I thought I had it perfect. But basically you adjust this so it doesn't wobble. Right? And so that it's nice and smooth as it goes down here. But once this clears that and it falls off the table, it juts out that way. So I'm going to try to cut it again, because right here, this is a problem for me. I'm going to try to push in that direction, just right here. I'm not going to hook the vacuum up to this. We're going to try to watch this here in real time. But that was jumping out on me. I was trimming that with the chisel like a moron. it's too much. But, you know, that's definitely too much. And plunging that gave me a different spot here. So, you know, I might live to regret that. But, again, this is the bottom side, and this is supposed to be a bit of a, what do we call this? Refined rustic table? A purposefully built rustic table. So, really, the more I screw up, in a way, the more character I'm giving it. But still, when it comes to the joints, I'd like them to be relatively tight. Like, if you look at the butterfly mortises, there's not too many gaps around those things. They're pretty precise. All right, put this away. I'm going to trim it up with the thingamajigs, also known as chisels, and then I will get back to you. So don't go anywhere. There's more to come. No, I won't be afraid, just as long as you stand by me. So darling, darling, that's what I was just listening to, but you can't hear because YouTube. All right. Slightly back cut here, but effecto here. Perfecto there, and I know I'm deeply stepped in here because I forced the saw and you saw that. So when I put the breadboard edge on, this is the bottom of the table, there'd be like a slight gap here. Won't matter. If that bothers me, I'll wedge a little piece of wood in there. It doesn't matter. Let me, I didn't clean the other side up. I'm sure I have to clean the shoulder up a little bit more on the top side, but I'm going to clean the other side up a little bit while it's upside down before I flip it. Flip it good. I am in a bizarre mood today. I guess I did get enough energy from sleep last night. It may not look like it when you look at my face. But let's see. Where is it? Where is it? I think this is the one. Might not be the one. There we go. So that's it. That is interesting. We are definitely tighter here. Of course, like I said, I have to clean the shoulder on the bottom side. But, oh man, yeah, that's a lot nicer on the top side. That makes me very, very happy. I am pleased. All right, I'm going to clean up the other side. And then, man, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to glue these suckers on. And I'm going to show you a little trick with pipe clamps. Most of you that do this, you know, whether or not you've been doing it for 37 years, you'll know this trick. If you don't know it, you'll see it. You'll be like, oh, I got to get me some more pipe clamps. Don't go anywhere. All right. That wasn't so bad. It's actually, I don't know what kind of fruity song that was about to be. This was already a little bit undercut. I was a little proud at the center, so I tried to trim that, but I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to taper down from the top edge and a little to make up for the little variance I have on this underside. But right now we got to clear this table off. We got to flip it again. Oh, by the way, I'll just get your juices flowing here on something. My tools were stolen back around 2018. I had a two-wheel drive Astro van, and I mean, it was a tool tote, which is the most important set of tools. That's the thing, the bag that you grab that has what you need in it to do whatever you need to do. And I happen to have two very rare, what they call butterfly mortise chisels in there, and I can't find them anywhere anymore. They were bought from a catalog called the Japan Woodworker. They're like fishtail shaped. So they're wide at the bottom and then they taper up like this. It helps you fit into the base of those butterfly mortises. Like I said, I had two of them in there. They're gone forever. My Stanley number 60 block plane that was given to me by my friend's father, and he'd been probably using that thing since the 60s. That was in there, and that's a bummer. And I've got a mismatch of chisels because I buy what I need for particular jobs, but I decided to splurge the other day I was on eBay and I was looking at Japanese chisels. I do that from time to time. I believe the Japanese chisels are just better. I just like them better than the Sorbies or the marbles or any of it. I think for using it in hardwoods, the Japanese steel tends to keep an edge better. And you could tell by the angle on the chisel whether it's better for softwood or hardwood. And the Japanese chisels tend to be more set up for the hardwoods. At least that's what I'm finding. I could be wrong. I know they use a lot of softwood too. But there was a pretty good chisel collection. I think there was at least 10 in the set. And with shipping and everything from Japan, I got it at the last minute. I was watching because these Japan chisel sets are interesting. Well, I'll do a whole video on it when I get it, but I'm excited. So they're on the way, and they look like they're already sharpened. I'll probably have to hone them a bit, but I'm real excited about that. Anyhow, I just needed to upgrade, you know. Okay, let's flip this sucker again. All right, I'm gonna finish cleaning these up, and then we'll put the breadboard edges on. You know, all real. So, what I'm noticing here is that, of course, this top is, you know, probably not perfectly parallel. I really had to go through a lot of time on this saw the other day to set it at perfectly 90 degrees, the blade. But what's happening is that I'm getting this issue. Right? So in the center it's protruding a little bit. That's awesome, because all I need to do now is come in with the chisel from top and bottom, take the center out so it's slightly below, and then I'll get two higher points and it'll give me a tighter fit on this edge. So it's a little more hand work. It's going to take a little more time. It's okay. Part of the job. You know, it's not like I haven't seen this before because I've been doing it for... Is that getting too old for you? Alright, so I did have to flip this over again twice to get what I needed. And right now what I'm doing is there's a little, from that plunge router, there's a little funk here. I want to make sure I get a nice tight fit. So I'm just going to chamfer the openings here a little bit in the other direction, so that I don't have to worry about any tiny little sliver or something being in my way when I go to try to fit this on there to keep it from being as tight as it possibly can be. And I just wanted to show you that because this is a good little practice, a little tip for you. Also, if your mortise and tenons are super tight, it's not a bad idea, you know, to chamfer your tenons down a little bit. Makes things a little bit easier to fit when you're doing that. I don't always do that. I don't always need to do that. I did this one already. Yeah. So it's an important step here. Just a little bit of, you know, it's a little sloppy because that hollow chisel mortiser that's not a it's not a refinement tool. It just makes square holes. And now clean this out. You know what? I might as well try to fit this for you. I know the jokes. I'm hired. I know. Nice. Keep in mind this is not clamped in. That's tight. A little shadow line here because that protrudes a hair. You can see there's still a slight bit of a dip. I forced that in without trying to flex these down because I know I've done it so many times now. Even though you see that right there, there's way less than there was before. And keep in mind, like I said, once it sits on the trestle base, it'll be better. So we're good here. It looks like there's a gap here. That's a shadow line. That's pretty tight. That's pretty tight. So we're golden. And then if I wanted to, a little trick I could do is I could take one of these butterflies, or 4 of them, and I could put them on the ends here to hold that, make sure that stays in place. I'm going to be putting probably 1, 2, 3, 4 pegs through this to hold it in place. So technically I don't need the butterfly mortise. And let's be honest, I'm putting a lot of time in on this. So my client's getting a good deal, but I'm kind of doing a little bit extra here, I suppose. That is adding more time than I didn't think it was going to take. So I'm still not even working on the base yet. But we're okay. We're okay. I mean, it looks pretty decent now, and it's not even anywhere, it's not even close to being finished. But at least the parts will be on here momentarily. We will have those pegs in today. Tomorrow, I don't want to ruin it here, but there's a pretty good chance we're going to get a very special guest that a lot of you know and love. That's all I'm going to say about that. All right. All right, listen. Here's some pipe clamps. Now, if you are a woodworker, you already know this probably. You should. If you don't know it, you're about to learn. If you're not a woodworker, here's an interesting thing about pipe clamps that you're about to learn. Alright, so the cool thing about pipe clamps is you buy these ends here at the store, and then you buy yourself some threaded rod. I want to use this one, but let's unscrew it this way. This will work. So you buy when you go to the hardware store, you're going to find rod that is already cut and threaded for you. So just buy some of that. And then what you can do is get yourself a coupler, and now you can make this pipe clamp longer. But you can't leave both ends on here. So I'll put one of these together for you right quick. Then I'm going to stop the camera again and get this all set up to glue up, and then do that. Got to take this off. And now I put the coupler back on. You should put something like, these are kind of hard to get off, they've been on there for a while, but keep these rubber or plastic protectors here, because they'll keep you from marring up the threads on the end, so you can do this in the future. I've had to do this quite a bit. I make a lot of large objects, so I had to figure this out. If you want to get nuts with it, you can put a pipe clamp on it, but you don't really need to. Now I can reach this whole table, the full length here. It's just that simple. Now, when I go to glue this, because there's this little bit of sag in here, what I'll probably do, I think we're going to say most definitely at this point, is I'll take this sucker here and a couple pieces that are milled flat here. I might need a deeper clamp. I don't know if I have one that's deeper, but the idea here is, put the blocks under it. I'm going to have to lift this table up off the surface of the table under it, because there's not enough room. What I'll do for this sake of this short section of video here, slide it this way. Yeah, this clamp's probably won't be long enough. Let's just see what happens. Oh yeah, look at that, it did it. So I pulled that pretty flush up here. So I'll do that, and maybe I'll do that at 2 points here. I'll get the glue slathered in there. I'll get this set. I'll clamp this together. I'm going to put blue tape on either side of this glue line first. This way any squeeze out that I get will go to the glue. It might get on this block, but then the glue will be between the block and the tape. So I'll be able to knock these off without them sticking to the table. And boy, that is sweet. It's pretty stinking good, if I do say so myself. So that's my system. This gluing this up is going to take, 20 times longer than what that just took. Just for setting everything up right, making sure everything's correct. So I just wanted to show you that. Now you know. Stick around. We're not done yet. All right, that worked out great. Now, one of the nice things about a dive watch here is you get to time it now. So I'm going to go ahead and set this to where my minute hand is. And I know 20 minutes in, I know that's 10 of, but this will just remind me that, or better yet, I can just go ahead and put this right where I want it to end. So I know that we'll give it an extra 5 minutes. So when that minute hand now gets to here, I know that that's been on long enough where I could take the clamps off. Although these two, I think I could take them off right now and clean the joint up because it's tight enough, and really it's already been clamped for about 5 minutes. It's nice and flush here now. If it moves, then I'll redo it. I think we're going to be okay. Nope. It did move. That absolutely moved on this. Let's go ahead and put that back. And then we'll let it set and see what happens. That's okay. Hopefully I can lift it back up. Yeah. It's all right. All right, that is not the end of the world. Like I said, I've got the tape here, so if these get stuck, they're going to be stuck just on the seam. I didn't get a ton of squeeze out. A lot of people are going to point out, they're going to say, wait a second, you got cross grain going on. I know. I've been doing this for a certain amount of time. And that's the thing. But breadboard edges have always existed. I just put the glue on for the heck of it. The pins that I'm about to make and put in are going to be what really holds the breadboard edge on. And I didn't go crazy with the glue on this. I did put glue. What I did was I stood the ends up. I put glue in all the mortises around the perimeter and let that fall. And then I glued it around the shoulder area, just on the one piece. And then I clamped it. That should be plenty. So we'll see how that works out. We'll see if I'm correct about that. Because I'm not right about everything. Where is my... Okay, I'm looking for my rag with the water so I can wipe off the excess glue right now. Alright, let's go ahead and clear off all this. I had this clamp out because this was a little off. So that's why this pipe clamp is high. I prefer it to be out here. Typically, if you clamp on one side or the other, when you crank down on this, you find that this piece and the other breadboard would tip up and give you this thing going on. So just to make sure that wasn't happening, I've got my square here and I know that's pretty flat. So yeah, we're golden there. But that's because this part was coming up a little bit more, so I wanted to squish that down and make it even. It's just going to make my life easier when it comes time to start scraping this top and making it look right where everything matches. I didn't even need to do anything here. This is perfectly acceptable. And that makes me happy, I think all the work I've done on all these parts that you guys saw, all the machining, the face joining, everything I went through to make sure that these boards are remaining stable, I think that is all paying off. This is why I do those things. That's why I take all those extra steps early on, because I know that at some point I'm going to be here where I'm gluing parts up, and when you get to this point, you don't want to be fighting stuff. That's why I like to do things the way that I do them. Put all this back together when I pop these clamps off. And I got a few minutes now. I can make a couple quick phone calls, let this set up enough, and then, yeah, we'll take it all apart. So I'm just letting the camera run for the moment here, talking to you, thinking about anything I could think to tell you. I don't think there's much else to tell you at the moment. I'm just going to go ahead and clean up this glue. And then the next shot you're going to see will be me, the clamps might be off already, or I may be pulling them off and then pulling this tape off. I've got to, what I should do next is actually make my little pegs for this, because the way I've done them in the past is I basically just mill down some little squares. I pick which chisel I want to use. Probably a 1/2 inch will work out perfect. So I'll take some Purple Heart and I'll mill that 1/2 inch square so long. And then I'll figure out where I want to put them. And I have to figure out how I want to do it. Well, I think I'll just do it by eye, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that piece of wood, and I'll probably get the belt sander out, and I'll set that up in its carriage, and I'll spin that around. I'll create a dowel that has a square on the end of it. And then what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to end up making square mortises, but I'm going to orient them to look like triangles where they go, and then drill a hole down the center of each one, stop hole. It'll go through the top, through the tenon, and into the bottom part, but not protrude through. And then I'll tap those into place, and I'll use a saw and I'll cut them smooth, and then I'll make them smooth, and everything will look super cool. I'd like to get all that done today so that tomorrow I can work on the base, because I'm basically 2 days behind where I wanted to be on this at this point, and time is money. So I'm basically losing money right now, but it's okay. This video, I'm going to get this up today, and tomorrow I was just texting, I guess I'm ruining a surprise, but not all of you are here because of this girl, but Wonder Hussy, a lot of you guys know who she is. She was just texting with me this morning, and she's coming into LA tomorrow. And I think the plan is, and it can always change with her, you never know, but I think the plan is that she's going to come into town and she's going to swing by here in the afternoon, which will be cool because she can show the world this whole thing. Then I think we're just going to go over to Pat, and she might want to shoot some stuff over at the apartment, and then we'll probably eat dinner, and then I think she's going to head out because she's got a place to go to. So I wouldn't mind going with her. She's going to some hot spring up north of here, and I'd like to do that myself, but I'd have to take more time off. And I'm not sure she wants that company, but, that's how that goes. So hang on. Don't go anywhere. Again, it's not over yet. All right. As I knocked the whole shot. Now I'm tired. That came out great. This came out great. Very, very pleased with this. Very pleased. Pretty stinking tight. It'll scrape out nicely, and wherever there's a void I could fill it. It's going to work out great, man. So I was just on the phone. I actually ate up an hour. That's a typical conversation timeline for me. I was on the phone with Carla. You guys remember Carla? So she's been making those hats for me. She's all excited because she's got it all figured out. She's got enough material to make me 2 samples. They're going to be my size, but maybe I'll sell one of those to you guys if it'll fit. I'm just not sure on the price, but I did get a thing in the mail where some of these classic hats that people are making, they're like $60 a piece, so that's not crazy, I suppose. We'll just see how that goes. But anyhow, let's get this placed down here. I don't know if I'll get the pins in today. I really want to. Okay. it's already 3 o'clock, so let's see how it goes. I got it because the table saw is full of stuff right now. So I'm going to go ahead and clear it off, get all that ready to go. These are the top parts of the trestle. Like I had said, they're probably going to sit right about here underneath the top. And I got to get that trestle base going. So that's what I'll be doing the next couple days. Yeah, tomorrow I'll be doing all the joinery for that and making those. I might get those done tomorrow. It shouldn't take all that long to make the trestle. There's a system for the beam that I got to figure out that I think you guys will find interesting. Some guy made a comment about the breakdown hardware when I was talking about that there's some stuff available. He's, oh, it's gonna rock on you or be not sturdy. To which my retort was, I've been doing this for 30... Not my first table. But I'll explain it to you guys with some sketches. Typically what I do is what's called a through wedged peg tenon, which means the beam, you trim a tenon on the end of that, then you make a through mortise on the trestle. And that tenon slides all the way through. And inside that tenon, there's another mortise, but it's flat straight on one side, and that goes behind the trestle, and then the outer part of that tenon is angled, and then you make an angled wedge, and you slide that in there, and as you tap that with the hammer, it pulls that wedge, slides down the outside of the trestle here. As that slides down, it pulls this beam super tight. And the idea is if you create a nice, if your tenon, let's say, is this tall, but your beam you want much bigger than that, because what you want is from here to the top of the beam, and from here to the bottom of that beam, you want a really tall shoulder. Once that's locked in, this beam cannot go anywhere. That is locked in, coming out, 90 degrees off of this. You can't, you could break anything if you try. But that is rock solid. And then all you do is you tap that peg out and you slide it out, and now the whole thing breaks down into parts. The reason I'm not doing that is because I'm not being paid for that on this project. So what I'm going to end up doing is it's going to butt up. But what I do is I do a shallow mortise that beam fits into. So when you look at it, it's super clean. No gaps or anything to see. So I could be sloppy if I wanted to, a little bit with the shoulder cuts, which there are none on this one. It's just flat. So that fits in there. And then what I'll do is from this side, I'm going to drill a hole right into here, right into the beam. And then I'm going to cut a slot on the side of the beam, right where I know the hole is, and I'm going to fit a nut in there. And then I'm going to take a bolt from the outside. And I'll probably do like a round mortise here and do like a 1-inch washer or something. And then I'll literally just stick that in there till it threads into that nut, and just crank that down, and that's going to give me the exact same thing. That bolt, and this is a large size. This ain't going to be some 3/8 inch bolt. It's going to be like a 3/4 inch bolt. It'd be a machine bolt. So when you crank super tight, it's going to pull on that nut right through that slot in that beam. Can't go anywhere. It'll pull that so tight that this can't move. It's not going to go anywhere. It's going to be rock solid. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about. I've been doing it for 37 years. You know what? That's the end of this video. Even if I do put the pegs in, I don't have to show you guys how I do everything. I'm letting too many secrets out. I'll probably show you at some point. But even if I do them today, I don't want to keep shooting video. I want to get this stitched together real quick and I want to get this out to you now so this video is done. And maybe I'll have them in tomorrow. But I really want to get in on this. Those things could go in at any time now. I'm very pleased. Let me show you. Let's show you what this looks like. Don't go anywhere. It's not over. Yeah, I'm starting to come up with all these little catchphrases for the video. You couldn't even see it. And now you know what a breadboard edge is. I'm going to trim this. So I'm going to take a little bit off each side, the whole length, to get that perfect. And then I might, don't hold me to this, but I might do an undercut chamfer around the perimeter. I haven't decided. I think that might be too fancy for this particular table. There's no gap here. That's just a shadow line. That's just a little high, but you can see. Well, it looks like there's a gap there because you're looking at it under macro, but believe me, there's nothing there. A better spot to show you. That's pretty stinking tight. Once this is sanded out, and it's got some finish on it, it's gonna, it's gonna look perfect. See how flat that is now. You can see how flat this is. I knew the breadboards would take the rock out of this, See how straight everything is here. So those breadboard edges, again, being an engineering necessity. And again, because the top was so easily flexed, again, because these boards were all the centers of trees. Again, not what you normally want to do. However, if you have to do it, that's what you want to do right there, is the breadboard edge. So that's it for now. You guys have a great day. Be kind to one another. Come back often. I'm cutting this off because I feel like between yesterday and today, it's going to probably be a super long video. I apologize for that. You can see what's going on the table saw. It's a friggin' disaster. This is the thing about this sort of shop space. I lose time just moving stuff around, trying to set up for the next operation. You have to think ahead, too. All right, that's it for now. Be good to one another. I will see you guys in the next one.